Hey guys, I'm back. That sun's kind of in my face. Is that better? So let's talk about bugging out. There's a lot on the internet about bug out kits, and all the things you need when you bug out in an emergency. Okay, that's cool. Let me tell you something. I love the bug out culture. I really do. I think bug out kits are really cool, really fun. They're fun to build, they're fun to plan for. It's a fun fantasy. And I'm sure, and we'll get into it more, but I'm sure a lot of people have put more thought into the fantasy of the bug out more than the philosophy of the bug out. Now, I'm a big fan of Nut and Fancy. This is a shout out to you, Nut and Fancy. I love your page. I love your channel. I love the things you do for the most part. We don't always agree, but then who does? But I think for the most part, you really do hit most of it right on the head. So I enjoy your channel. I'm going to have to disagree with you on a couple of specifics, things that I think you probably would disagree with you on as well. You have said in your videos, do not bug out. I agree. Do not bug out. Bugging out is a good way to get yourself killed. It's a good way to lose everything that you have piled up in your home. So no, you don't want to bug out unless you have to, and I think you've said that, which is why you have your bug out kit. But there's different kinds of people who live different kinds of lives, and I think this goes back into my own philosophy that you need to build your bug out kit based on your situation. You see, I live in a rural area. I live, about 600 feet from Florida's green swamp. If I were gonna bug out to a desolate place, that would probably be it. And it has its own challenges. It's one of the more hostile places outside of the desert in the US. There's a lot there that wanna eat you, even things that you can't see that wanna eat you, that will kill you quickly. So it brings its own challenges. And to build a bug out pack for that, that's smart, but that's not what bugging out should be considered. Really, what situation are you gonna need all that stuff for? I have it, obviously. I'm bugged out because you never know, you might need that situation. But I haven't invested a lot of money into the bug out kit. In fact, everything I have in there I've picked up at either yard sales or have just accumulated over time, from military service or what have you. So I have nothing in there that I would need on a daily basis, or any day for that matter. Basically, I packed that kit about 5 years ago and haven't really even opened it up since. So I'm not even sure what's in it. I'm pretty sure it's enough that if things were really, 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 really bad, I could be out in the woods and living for a while with my family. But I don't want to have to do that. None of us do. The thing you have to consider is this. My oldest daughter lives in an apartment in a suburban area, a very, very populated suburban part of Florida near Tampa. And they don't know their neighbors, nor do they have any reason to trust them. And places like that are going to be prime targets when food gets slim and when people start getting upset. I'm not talking about end of the world scenario. I'm talking about hurricanes, and in other parts of the country, earthquakes, fires, the things that actually happen every single year. So real quick, let me tell you, I've been through 2 major hurricanes here in Florida, 2 that have directly impacted my life. On 2 different occasions, I've had to survive for a week by being prepared to survive for a week. There was really barely any running water, if there was any. There was no septic, there was no sewage. The flooding had gotten so bad that there was just no disposing of that kind of stuff. There was no power for a week in the middle of summer in Florida. This morning, when I got out of bed, the feels like temperature in Florida in my area was 97 degrees. By now it's bound to be 103, 105. It's miserable. This is not something you want to sleep in without AC. It's not something you want to live in, and this is not something you want to bug out into, because the bugs are horrible. You don't want to bug out for weeks. You want to get where you can stay away from all the evil creatures on this godforsaken sandy crap hole that I live in. But you also can't really live comfortably in your home because it's dark, it's muggy, it's hot and sweaty. There's no air moving inside the house. After a storm like that, it is cooler outside than it is inside, because inside it's probably 130 because there's nothing to push air through the house. The window's opening, it doesn't make any difference. There's no air moving. The wind's not blowing. So, in the house is not the place to be. So, we're going back to philosophy. In that situation, yeah, you want to bug out. But is that the kind of bug out that you need this kind of kit for? No. That's not the kind of bug out that you need that kind of kit for. A hurricane's coming, you want to just pack your stuff up properly and get the heck out of your area. Temporary relocation. So the bug out kit's kind of useless for that. Now, get into longer duration serious problems. They're still usually going to be localized, so it still doesn't make sense to bug out in the sense that you have all this survival gear. You need to bug out in the sense that you have clothes to wear, toiletries, things that you're going to need when you go out to a hotel or to a friend's house or something like that to stay. That's different. So we get into bugging out for a good reason. I'm going back to my daughter now. So let's say we do get to the point where we're, it hits the fan, right? The government has decided that we are just not worth saving, so they let everything go, and everything just falls apart, and next thing you know, chaos in the street because no one has food. So what do? Well, in my situation, where I live in this rural area near swamplands, I stay put. There's no reason for me to go anywhere as long as my home is above water or not on fire. I have a bug in plan, and that's where I dedicate my resources. Bugging in. Set your property up so that you can collect water. Set your property up so that you can create power. Set your property up so that you can fortify your defenses against people coming in. That's your purpose. That's what you need to be setting your sights on, is learning how to bug in instead of how to bug out. In my situation, when I lived in Brandon, Florida, I lived on a neighborhood that was it was a one-way street, or not a one-way street, but a dead-end street that was surrounded by a good amount of lakes, and it was hard to get to other than coming down our street. So it had its own built-in security to a certain degree, and all of our neighbors were all very, very close. And in fact, one of the hurricanes I went through, we went through there, and after the hurricane itself passed by, we all went out and we grilled the food that was in our fridges that were going bad. So all this food that was going to go bad, all the meat went on there and everything else got heated up, and we had one of the best meals I've ever had in my life the day after a hurricane robbed us of our power and sewage. So we had a good time with it. We actually embraced it. We had a lot of fun. It wasn't bad. And that's the difference between being friends with your neighbors and being stuck by yourself. Had I been stuck by myself at the time, it would have been the most miserable week of my life. So, that makes the difference. Know your neighbors, get to know them. Now here in my rural area, that's a little bit hard to do. And I'm gonna be honest with you, when you live in this kind of a rural area, you live where there are a lot of questionable people. I mean, not just, yes, there's a lot of illegal immigrants in my neighborhood. I'm okay with that. They're usually quiet because they don't want to start trouble. But there's also a lot of people who are, sexual predators and things like that in my area. I call it a neighborhood. It's a big enough area that it's not really a neighborhood, but they're close enough. So this is the kind of place where you do have those potential threats. You're not going to have a lot of good people around you that are going to come to your aid. You're going to have a lot of poor people around you that are going to come for your goods. So that changes things. So what I need here, because I have the property and I have the means, I need help. And if you live in an apartment complex in a busy area, you don't have that stuff. You don't have your property set up to collect water and all that. So you need to probably get out of there. So for my daughter, or daughters, because I have two of them in that situation, they should be bugging out to me. So their bug out kit shouldn't look like this. It should look like what they need to get from there to here, understanding that the roads may be impassable, that there may be a time where they're going to have to get off the roads, and there may be a time where they're going to have to, you know, park the car and make the walk, and that's going to suck for them because it's an hour drive. So, you know, it's a good long trip for them. But they can make the walk, and if they pack the things they need for that walk, if they pack rain gear, if they pack food, if they pack camouflage, some way to hide. So if they're walking from there to here and they see a crowd of people, they're going to want to go around the crowd, avoid the crowds, and hide in the woods and work their way around without being seen. So that's something they have to consider in their bug out bag. So if you're living in the kind of place where you have to worry about, you know, getting from your apartment to a friend's home where he has, you know, fortifications, where he has food stockpiled, something like that, then you need to think about how to get there, and you need to understand that you may not be able to just get there. It may not be a matter of hopping in the car and going. Now, you know, if it's a hurricane, my kids will probably just hop in the car and come here, or we'll find somewhere a little bit more sturdy. That's different. But I'm talking about, you know, things are starting to fall apart and people are starting to cause trouble. They need to get from there to here, so they're going to need what they need to get here. Now, I do have a bug out plan for even worse. If this neighborhood is flooding, or if this neighborhood is on fire, or if I'm no longer able to secure my home, I have a friend 20 minutes away from me who's got a pretty good chunk of land, easily defensible chunk of land, and there's a handful of us that he's going to allow to come to his place and help him provide security for that. So no, you're not gonna use most of the bug out stuff that we like to collect, that we like to build. You're not going to use that. You're never going to use that. So don't spend a lot of money on it. I intend to soon show you my bug out bag. Now, quickly, just to bring you off to this, I have different philosophies on bug outs too, if you have to do it. My bug out kit is way too heavy for me to carry. But let's be real. With my problems, with my physical problems, I'm not carrying much anyway. I am going to do most of it in a vehicle. And if I'm not in a vehicle, I'm in a wheelchair. And if I'm not in a wheelchair, I'm crawling. So, you know, the size of it isn't as important. The ability to toss it in the back of a pickup truck and head out into the woods is what's important if I had to bug out. And, you know, look, I'm sure that probably 80% of the people who are watching this video have noticed what I've noticed, that all these bug out kits, all these guys that come on and they show you all these cool setups, they're for people who are in good shape, who can march 20 miles into the woods. I'm not that guy. I am not going 20 miles into the woods. Chances are, if you're 40 or over, you are too sore, too tired, too broken, or too fat to make a trip into the woods with 100 pounds of gear on you. And if you slim down the gear, what's the point of leaving your home? I mean, you might as well stay home and use what's there. So, you know, I'm too broken, I'm too fat, I'm too old to make that kind of a bug out. Heck no, I'm staying home, buddy. I am staying home. So if you think you're gonna come take my stuff, try it. It won't go well for you. But it's not because I'm a good shot, it's because I have a lot of young guys who are willing to throw themselves between me and the bad guys. I know how to lead, friend. I know how to lead. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that it gave you some ideas, some insight. I hope that you're considering something that you had never considered before. And I hope you're prepared, because that time is coming. Look around. Look at history. It's coming. Thanks a lot. If you like my videos, subscribe. If you don't, subscribe anyway. I do intend on showing you guys what's in this kit in another video. So thanks a lot.